Up next is one I didn't think I was going to like. Twisters.
Twins! We got twins!
I know that we made fun of the trailer every time we saw it because it was everywhere.
Yep.
When we saw it for movies in the spring.
Every movie we ever saw before this came out had this trailer.
So we constantly were making fun of it. And I'll be honest, Glenn Powell was not a favorite of mine in terms of being an actor. I think he looks weird.
You're Glenn Powell revisionist.
I am. Same as Channing Tatum. I've changed my mind.
You've come around on him.
So we went into Twisters. So we actually prepped. We watched the first movie, watched Twister, which was really fun. I had never seen it before, or at least all the way through. And Twisters is kind of a sequel that has nothing to do with the first movie. There's some references. They use the Dorothy pod thing to send the things up into the tornado like they do in the first movie. But really that's like the only connection, and it's about like, storm chasing.
Yeah.
So this starts out very dramatically.
It does. Yeah.
What's the character's name? Kate.
Daisy Edgar Jones.
Okay. So it starts out with Daisy Edgar Jones doing a research project for school, or for her like master's program or PhD. One of those two.
Yeah, I think a master's program.
And she's with her project, her group of friends who are also storm chasers and also in the same program as her. And they are driving out to this tornado, and they're going to try to stop it. She has a formula figured out. She knows how to. She figured out kind of like how to stop a tornado, and so but they have to try it out on like a really powerful tornado.
Yeah.
So they drive out there. They think they have everything right, and then everybody dies but her and one guy.
Yeah.
Literally everybody gets sucked up into the tornado or gets like killed, including her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So we start out with that, and so then we flash forward to present day, and you find out she is living in New York now, not Oklahoma, which is where she's from. And she works for like the Weather Channel or someplace like that, and she doesn't really go out and chase storms anymore. Like she can't. It's a very traumatic memory for her, so she like can't get back into it.
Yeah.
Which is horrible. I mean, if you watch all your friends and your boiefriend die in a tornado accident, like you're not going to want to do that anymore.
You might find a different hobby.
Yeah.
That's when you take up bird watching or something.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's implied that she never finished her master's program as well. She just, left the program. She got a job as a meteorologist and like moved to New York and is doing that now.
Mm-hmm.
So her other friend who did survive the tornado comes and visits her in New York and asks her to come chase again. He needs her help because she is the best storm chaser there is.
Yep.
Much like Bill Paxton in the original.
Yeah.
She can just sense the tornado and like knows exactly where it's going to be.
Yeah, she's got like a sixth sense that no one else really does.
Absolutely. So she agrees and she goes out to Oklahoma with him and they start tracking storms together. Well, you find out that there is this other group of storm trackers. It's like gotten huge. This is not the 90s anymore. There is Glenn Powell and his crew who are YouTube streamers who chase tornadoes, and they just do it for fun. They're not doing it for, I don't know, get the data.
They do it for the love of the game.
They do it for the love of the game. I mean, Glenn Powell's got this tricked out like truck that he can like anchor into the ground.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's a fun group of people, it seems like. So throughout this, you get the tension between Glenn Powell's group and how the way they storm chase, and how this other corporation that her friend works for and helped started chases storms. And you slowly find out that you think Glenn Powell's the bad guy, but he's not.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually helping the communities after the storms come through. They're raising money for these communities.
Yeah.
And it's all just kind of like, it's a big show and a big production, but it's like to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And the other company that goes through and assesses things and like is trying to like stop tornadoes, they're actually they're funded by like a big billionaire who just wants to buy up all the land to like sell it to like developers.
Yeah.
And so
they're like profiting off of other people's misery.
Absolutely. And then the film ends with a giant tornado, and you find out she actually did figure out how to stop tornadoes. And now in this world, I guess they can just stop tornadoes.
Yep. Yeah.
And then you get the least
with
rewarding.
Drones.
Truly. I don't think it was drones.
Oh no, they weren't drones.
They were drones. They were
the little pods that get pulled up.
Yeah.
And then they just are able to use I don't even know how
they forgot to account for the rain and the tornado. That's why her first one didn't work. She forgot to account for the rain.
Yeah.
So she had to add some rain absorber to it to make it work. I don't know the science. It's
but
fake.
The science behind the actual little balls that they send up into the sky, they mediate, or they kind of settle the winds or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like that. I'm not really,
because it's hitting
really
so
sure.
many points of the tornado.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's the less questions you ask about that kind of stuff, the better.
Absolutely. So it ends in the least satisfying way, though, where Daisy Edgar Jones is going back to New York, presumably to quit her job and to come back and start tornado hunting again and finish her program and do all that stuff. And Glenn Powell he chases after her. He puts his car right into the ground in front of the airport and runs after her. So
they can't tow him or anything.
Yeah, so they can't tow him. And he runs after her, grabs her arm. They hear a storm's coming and they run away.
Yep.
And there's no kiss.
Yeah.
And that's the most upsetting thing I have seen all year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved the movie so much. I thought it was a really fun ride. I loved the chemistry between Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones.
Yeah.
I loved so much about this movie.
Yeah.
It was Americana in a way that I love.
Yeah.
It was just perfect except for the end.
Yeah.
The end was the worst.
They really
part
missed the mark.
They truly did. It was,
and it was
awful.
Building up to it.
It was.
The upsetting part, one of the most upsetting things is too, they shot a kiss.
They did.
It was in the script. It was probably in the edit at one point.
Yeah.
An exec producer on this gave a note about how it should be taken out. Even the end of the first Twister.
Yeah.
Twister understood that there was chemistry there and that there was romance and it needed that. And it just, I don't know, that lack of the kiss, it felt like another reminder of the de-romantification of mainstream blockbusters.
Absolutely.
Where it's you can't have them, feel genuine human emotions, but it's love is such a big part of life.
It is. It's like the opposite of Anyone But You.
Yeah.
Which we saw last year with again with Glenn Powell.
Yeah.
And that was really funny. It felt like a really good return to a rom-com.
Yeah.
And then just to see that to this and just take away the kiss.
Yeah.
Because it felt like we were going somewhere good with rom-coms. We had that one. I think there was another one that came out. No Hard
Feelings was really good.
Where we were okay, rom-coms are starting to come back.
Yeah.
And then they do this in Twisters.
Yeah.
And it was just such a disappointment because it's building up to a kiss.
Yeah, it was. It was it just kind of, you felt it in the air. You felt it hanging in the air.
You did.
And it was just oh, I guess we're just not doing that.
Absolutely. And I understand she has to work through the trauma of losing her first love and the tornado and everything. But it doesn't mean she can't find love again with Glenn Powell.
Yeah, right.
It's there. The chemistry's there. It's
yeah. It was really a really odd decision. They need to release if they haven't already, they need to release on the Blu-ray special Kiss edition,
a Kiss cut.
Do you guys like it better with or without the kiss? And it's I don't know. I just feel it was just a weird thing. And I wanted to talk about the structure of this movie and how I feel it filled a gap that has been, it's more like a valley at this point than it is a gap of disaster films, good disaster films.
Yeah.
Because if you ask hey, what's the last good disaster movie? I guess you could argue maybe some stuff like San Andreas from 2015. But a lot of disaster films feel by the numbers. They feel here's what you throw on Netflix at 3 a.m. to laugh at with your friends or something. And they feel not I almost trash cinema, I guess.
Yeah.
They feel like lower tier.
We're going to blow up the original epicenter and create one ginormous localized catastrophe.
10.0 Earthquake.
And I feel like it was a market that wasn't really being capitalized on, at least for like major motion pictures, because I feel like we've gotten to a point where people aren't wowed by visuals and like destruction on like VFX anymore as they used to be. But this movie felt like a return to form, because you mentioned we watched the original Twisters recently, and that was so fun to go back and watch. I don't think it's a perfect movie by any means, but I think it's a really solid disaster movie.
Yeah.
It introduces the characters. You mentioned the tragic backstory in this movie. It's kind of going off of what the tragic backstory in the first movie was, with the loss of the family in the opening. So you've got that. You've got your ragtag Americana like group of researchers, and then you've got the big bad corporation all in like their sleek black SUVs, all driving in a perfectly orderly line. And so it follows a really good formula. Like, it is a formula. This movie, even though it's different than the original Twister, feels a lot in a lot of ways like a remake of the original Twister, because it's a good formula.
It is.
And it made me realize, oh wow, disaster movies still can be really solid and can do well. I mean, this movie was one of the highest grossing movies of the year.
It was. It was so much fun to see in theaters too. Much so that we went and saw it in the drive-in as well.
We did. Yeah, it's a great movie. Great drive-in movie too.
It is a really great drive-in movie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Just, man, they really should have gone for it at the end. Really should have done that kiss. Solid movie all around.
Absolutely.
Really funny. Really good characters. It just felt like kind of like Trap, which we both really enjoyed. It felt like Trap in that it was like a return to like, this is like a blockbuster movie. Like, that's not, I guess Twisters is a sequel, but it's like it feels like a classic movie. Like, it doesn't really have a huge tie to a franchise or an IP.
No, it doesn't.
It's just like a classic blockbuster movie that you go see in the summer and you just have an awesome time with.
Absolutely. Anyways, Twisters, really good.
Okay, and coming up next is maybe my favorite movie of 2024. Definitely up there. Again, like TV Glow, one that I could not stop thinking about after release.
I couldn't stop thinking about it either.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep.
Yeah. It leaves an impact. It's a very, very divisive movie. Had a lot of people on the fence, but I loved it. I'm going to tell you why. Long Legs was the latest release from director Osgood Perkins, who I love. I've been a huge fan of Osgood for a while, since I originally saw The Black Coat's Daughter. And he was, Osgood Perkins started out as an actor, and then he started, dove right into directing some of the best modern horror movies, in my opinion. Black Coat's Daughter, I think, was his shining star. I think it was my personal favorite of his. And then he went and did I'm the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, and which was like a classic ghost story, kind of like not a remake or a retelling, but kind of very similar to like a classic like ghost story, like a Turn of the Screw. And stuff like that. From what I understand, I haven't read it yet, but I know that it was kind of inspired by that. And then he did Hansel and Gretel, which I thought was great. I thought it was visually really, really cool too.
Is that the one with Jeremy Renner?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the action one.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, that is funny. I forgot about that movie. Didn't they do a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs?
They did Snow White and the Huntsman.
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Kristen Stewart cheated on Robert Pattinson with the director, and that's why they broke up after Twilight.
Really? Wow. I didn't know that.
Chris Hemsworth's in that one too.
Is he?
He's a huntsman.
No kidding. Okay. And Kristen Stewart's Snow White.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that about them.
But I read the magazines.
That's some tea, some 2013 tea.
Yeah, truly.
But yeah, and then he made Long Legs, which I said before, Black Coats was my favorite. Long Legs is the new top dog for me. I love this movie. As I said before, this movie had a lot of people on the fence. Some people hated it. I've talked to a ton of people who absolutely hated this movie. Thought it was super boring, thought it went nowhere. And then you get a lot of people in my camp, and I think your camp. I think for the most part you like this movie.
Oh, I loved it. I loved the puzzle. I loved trying to figure out the puzzle. And,
yeah.
Where Longlegs is. Like,
yeah.
Oh my god, he was so creepy too. Oh
so
my god.
Creepy.
My big critique with this movie.
Starting off with a critique.
My critique of Longlegs is they do T-Rex so dirty. T-Rex, one of my favorite bands.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he's a big, like, Mark Bolan fan.
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts me. It hurts me a little bit.
They had to have agreed to it.
I know. Well, I mean, he's been dead since the 70s.
Yeah, but the like T-Rex estate, the other members.
Yeah, I know. But still, it just like...
A character as despicable as Longlegs.
Like the same music as me?
Okay. Yeah, I've got my eye on you, babe. I don't know. Big T-Rex fan? I'm skeptical.
But it makes sense for his character. Like, he is a failed glam rocker. So
it makes sense. Absolutely. And I mean, T-Rex, they're the granddaddies of glam rock.
They are.
So, I liked this movie a lot. Just going off of the premise, essentially we start off with Lee Harker, who is a FBI agent played by Micah Monroe, who we talked about, Catherine Newton. Micah Monroe is another actress I'd put up there as just like one of the great current working actresses right now. I love her in It Follows. I loved her in The Guest. And she's just kind of like Catherine Newton, kind of like an unofficial, like modern scream queen. Mm-hmm. And this movie continues that. I think she's incredible in this. And we get her working as an FBI agent, and she's working closely with her boss, Agent Carter, I believe his name is. She's really successful and good at her job, and she has this weird sixth sense, very similar to Kate in Twisters, how she can just sniff out where a tornado is going to be. Lee Harker in this movie can sniff out where danger is going to be. Like very early on, she knows exactly which house the suspect they're looking for is going to be in, and she's spot on. She nails it. And so they hone in. They're training. They're doing tests on her, and just like really watching her closely and thinking, wow, the FBI can really use someone like this. And so
it's very X-Files-esque.
It is very X-Files-esque, yeah. And so they put her on the case of discovering where
a serial killer named Longlegs is. And the weird thing about the victims of Longlegs is that they
are all killed in very, very weird, curious ways, where it's made clear that Longlegs never even entered the house. They've got these set of like messages, like very much in the vein of the Zodiac Killer. That's kind of what sets us off in this movie. I loved it. It got under my skin. Even just talking about it kind of creeped me out a little bit. But what a dang good horror movie.
And Nicolas Cage, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Standout performance as well.
Standout performance for sure.
Like, he was so creepy.
He was.
Oh my gosh. And I think the scariest scene for me was when Lee is in her home and she thinks she goes outside for some reason. I can't remember why she goes outside. She gets like drawn outside, and she's outside. She looks in, and you can see Longlegs going through her house.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the other side. She can't find him inside, but he leaves her a note.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So creepy.
It's terrifying.
It is absolutely terrifying.
It's so scary. It gets under your skin big time. And I just realized this as we're talking about this movie. We talked about Furiosa, which is maybe the worst marketed movie of the year.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about Longlegs, which for my money is one of the best marketed movies in years. Like, the marketing for this movie was genius.
Yeah.
It is currently Neon Pictures who distributed this movie. It's their biggest hit. And I can see why. I mean, the trailers were genius. They were vague, and they got you interested, and they were advertising it as like the scariest movie of the year.
They weren't showing Nicolas Cage.
They weren't showing him. They left him in the dark, like what he looks like. And then they did those ads where it's like showing what Micah Monroe's like heart rate was, because they hooked her up to a heart rate monitor when they first showed her what Nicolas Cage looked like, and you can hear her heart rate rising. And it's pretty clear why when you see the movie. He looks really scary in this. But just those little nuggets they gave you, it made you, by the time the movie came out, everyone was like, I have to see this. And it did really well. Obviously, throwing stuff around like the scariest movie of all time, it's gonna, end up with people. It's kind of a dangerous statement because you're gonna end up with people like, I didn't think it was that scary, or this and that. But at the end of the day, you still sat down and watched the movie. It still got a ton of people to see it. Which is why I think it is so divisive, because it grossed so much money.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this in the opening, or when we introduced the movie.
Yeah.
But I keep thinking about that movie. I could not sleep after that movie.
Yeah.
And it has been a while since other than that, it's Hell House LLC. That one also made me, so I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I usually have no issues with that, but Brian would get up for work, and I'd go in later than him, so I would just fall back asleep. I could not, because I kept thinking about long legs.
Yeah.
It was just horrible.
Yeah.
And awesome. I loved it. I loved the movie, but it stayed with me for sure.
It's really scary. Yeah. It's just thinking about it. For me, it's like the best kind of horror movie, or the best kind of mystery, where it felt a lot like a movie I really love is Hereditary from a few years back. That movie, it's a very satisfying story in and of itself, on its own. So is Longlegs. But what lies beneath the surface, if you really start to dig deep, rewatch the movie, look into theories, and just kind of slowly piece this puzzle together, it becomes even scarier. There's some great essays on YouTube about Longlegs that I geeked out about and watched after seeing this movie. And it made me appreciate it even more. A movie that I already thought was scary ended up being bone-chilling by the time I was finished, like looking into all the theories and stuff. And when you really figure out what's going on behind the scenes and what Longlegs' overall intentions are, it'll turn you white. I mean, it's really, really scary. And I guess since we've been going into spoilers, we can start to delve into the end of this movie.
I will say, we talked about Furiosa.
Yeah.
This movie also has a connection to Twisters.
Does it?
Yeah, because Kiernan Shrimpka plays a role in this movie, and she also plays a role in Twisters.
Oh, yeah, you're right. She is in Twisters.
She is in Twisters.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's because she dies.
Yeah. She's one of the first to go.
Yeah.
She had a good year.
She did have a good year.
And she's actually an Osgood Perkins alumni. She was the main character in Black Coat's Daughter. So it's cool to see her in this. She delivers a really creepy, effective monologue at one point. What they end up finding out. So two things. I'm just thinking about this, how much we have to unpack here now that we've opened this can of worms. We mentioned that Lee Harker has a connection to Longlegs, and that's because when she was a child, this movie starts off with Longlegs seemingly claiming a victim out in her front yard, a young girl who's by herself. He goes up to her and starts talking to her, and you think she gets kidnapped. What actually ends up being the case was a flashback to Lee Harker when she was a child, and that was Longlegs inviting himself in to her and her mother's home, and her mother basically makes a deal with the devil, and that I'll allow you and your daughter to live if you basically become my muse and help me do my biddings.
So she dresses up like a nun.
Yeah.
And takes these dolls with evil orbs in them.
Yeah, and she sets them inside the house. They're like a gift, and so the family accepts them. And really, what that doll is, it's a shell holding this like orb, but it's got this dark matter in it,
which is like a piece of Longlegs apparently, but also part of the devil.
Yeah.
It's best vague, like Twisters.
Yeah, exactly. But Longlegs himself made a deal with the devil a long time ago. So it's part of both the devil and Longlegs himself. It's this orb within these dolls, and the longer it sits in the family's home, the more it starts to have a negative impact on them, and they start acting out in violent ways, and they end up killing each other. And so that ends up being how Longlegs is able to get inside these people's houses and kill them without ever actually setting foot within the home, which is just a terrifying concept.
Absolutely.
And it shows how he was able to get away with this for so long. And it also is a terrifying revelation when Lee discovers that her mom was, by and large, the person she was looking for on this case all along. And it perfectly explains why she's got this sixth sense of knowing where danger's near. It's not so much she knows, it's that she's slowly tapping into this repressed trauma from her childhood that is being activated.
I think the orb calls evil to... This is my theory.
Okay.
I think the orb calls evil to evil.
Yeah.
And because she is still connected to her orb, because she shoots it in the end.
Yeah.
But she's still connected to her orb. I think it's like the orb's power. It shows her where like the evil things are, because it's calling out to that other like evil like thing. Not that Lee's evil, but that she can like use.
She has a connection to evil.
She has a connection to evil.
Yeah. That's a good theory. I like that. Yeah. I think it's probably partially that, and I think it's probably partially that as she's discovering more and more about the Longlegs character, she's discovering more and more and reopening like memory holes from her past where like, oh my God, I'm forgetting all these years that he was in our own home. And it was like she didn't want to remember, but now because she's working so closely against him, she's being forced to remember. And so that was terrifying and creepy, and it explains a lot about Lee's character. Something that I've talked about with people in the past, some people have critiqued this movie for saying like, a complaint that I've heard, for example, is, okay, well, if Lee's a hardened FBI, agent, and she's gone through all this training, why is she so, terrified when dealing with Longlegs? Why does she act so nervous and scared? Like, shouldn't she be, hard-boiled? And I think yes, but that's a different kind of fear. When you're realizing and remembering your childhood in such a traumatic way like that, all that FBI training goes away. You become that child again. And I feel like Micah Monroe, I mean, obviously Nicolas Cage is incredible in this movie, but Micah Monroe deserves her flowers too. I think that she perfectly captures that type of fear, plays a very awkward, maybe autistic character. It's pretty subtle, but I do think she has like some form of autism. She plays that kind of character in a really, really believable way. And she's like the muted heart of this movie, I would say. Yeah. Crazy movie. Yeah. It will leave a lasting impact on you for sure. Like I said, it's divisive, so maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but I think it's a mistake to at least not give it a shot, because I really, really enjoyed Longlegs. Me too. Nicolas Cage is scary, and he freaks me out. And he's a case against plastic surgery. He is. Yeah. Dude was hitting the surgery table a little too many times. He looks rough here. Yeah, which I read someone's like thought piece about Longlegs, or it could have been an interview with Osgood Perkins, where like he is like making himself beautiful for the devil, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So, like he's preparing himself. Yeah. It is. Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because of any movie that I've seen in recent, this movie feels evil. Like the vibes are horrendous in the best possible way. Like I've never felt in a while such a clear distinction between good and evil. Like it's obviously is the good, pure character we're rooting for, but man, the feeling you get whenever Longlegs is near or on screen, it's just, he feels like he literally is part of the devil. Like it gives you such a deeply spiritual fear that I don't think many movies can really capture. It's like, it goes like the extra mile that Zodiac doesn't, because Zodiac is based on real things, but like Yeah.
It feels like an exaggerated version of that.
It does.
In a
That's
way.
a good point. Yeah. Zodiac or like Silence of the Lambs. It feels like a supernatural twist on those kind of movies.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Tell us about the last movie we're going to be talking about today. Following Longlegs.
So, the last movie we're talking about today, which... So the last movie we are talking about today, following the critically acclaimed Longlegs, is Happy Holidays, a Hallmark original movie.
A Hallmark original movie.
A Hallmark original movie.
Why are we talking about Happy Holidays?
We are talking about Happy Holidays because of the lead actor here, Ezra
This man.
Moreland.
This man here.
This man here, who is also Mr. Christmas. Mr. Christmas, what does that mean?
Mr. Christmas.
Mr. Christmas is the best reality television show I have ever seen in my life. It is called Finding Mr. Christmas, hosted by Jonathan Bennett, and
of Mean Girls fame,
Mean Girls
and Hallmark
fame,
fame,
and Hallmark fame, and he does the Food Network challenges too. He does
Yes.
like cupcake wars and stuff.
Mhm.
Anyways, he's well known. This reality television show premiered this year on Hallmark, trying to find the leading man for their next Hallmark Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm. And we both ended up having a lot of fun with this one.
So to start, we can't talk about the movie obviously until we talk about Finding Mr. Christmas.
Yeah.
So Finding Mr.
What's the relation there?
So Finding Mr. Christmas is the best reality television show we've ever seen, like we've already stated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a group of guys who are trying to become the next Hallmark leading man.
Yep.
How they cast this, I have no idea. How do they like have a dream to become the next Hallmark leading man? No clue. That was someone's dream.
Yeah.
Which, as we discussed, though, being a Hallmark actor would be like really easy and really nice. You'd always have like a steady job because you'd make Christmas movies.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And that like
Like-
hundreds and thousands of moms and wine moms
and us.
across America and us, people like us, who are just gonna tune in and watch these every year.
Oh,
You're set.
absolutely.
Like if you can be an in-house Hallmark actor, you're set.
So it's a group of guys, and they're like all awesome except for the spoilers. The first guy gets kicked off is kind of a jerk, and I'm glad he leaves because like it lets all the other guys show their personalities and that they're all not like jerks like him, except for Gage, who failed his test of heart and would not pick up the lady ice skating who fell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Gage was our favorite character though.
Yeah.
my
For all the wrong reasons.
He was.
We loved that guy.
loved
It was so
Gage.
funny.
He had like a 3-episode arc that was like really good.
He did.
But yeah, so basically the setup for this show is these guys, they go and Jonathan like rings a jingle bell and they go up to this like crafting room and they
Yeah.
have to do like either like a craft or some sort of like skill challenge in a way
Yeah.
that kind of like shows the judges who are Jonathan and Melissa Peterman.
Melissa Peterman.
Melissa Peterman. You might know from Reba. She was in Reba and Hallmark movies.
Mhm.
But anyways, so they had to do this challenge, usually show off their personality or something. And whoever wins that challenge gets an advantage in the
Yeah.
big challenge. And the big challenge is like an acting scene, an agility course, chopping down a Christmas tree. I'm pretty sure that was that a mini challenge or a big challenge?
I can't remember.
I
I think
can't
it was a
remember.
big challenge.
I think it was a big challenge. I think it was a mini challenge. I think it was
Was
because
it?
Ezra got the mini challenge win. Remember, it was like his first
Oh.
time winning that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember that.
So the small challenges just ranged. They had to fill up like the hot cocoa
Yeah.
with like this giant marshmallow. They had to fill a giant hot cocoa cup up and like make the marshmallows fall over the edge. Like the obstacle course, agility course, where you had to carry a Christmas tree through like some lights and you had to chop it down, carry it through some lights, and then get to the other side and like decorate it.
Yep.
Incredible show.
Yeah.
Incredible concept.
It's great TV. It is
incredible.
really funny.
And
I hope they do a second season.
I hope they do a
because
second season too.
It was a really weird but fun and unique show. that I honestly, we looked forward to watching it every Thursday.
So then the big challenge would usually be like an acting challenge where they would have the guys pair up with like another Hallmark actor.
Yeah.
There was one that was just a photo shoot though.
Yeah.
And this poor guy took his shirt off, and he shouldn't have done that because I got him sent home. He was so uncomfortable without his shirt on. So you follow this group of guys, and one gets eliminated every week. And the winner of Finding Mr. Christmas, to everyone's shock, was Ezra, the model.
Yeah.
Also,
I
Air
liked
Force
Ezra.
model. I'm not saying if he was bad. I had at the end I had my money on Elijah, who was the guy who toured with Hamilton.
Yeah.
So that was who my money was on.
Yeah.
Or and then Hayden, who was the children's entertainer from Australia.
Yep.
So those
it was
were
kind of an
final
upset.
Ezra
was the underdog.
He really was, because he really didn't have any acting experience before going on this show. And I will say too, they also did Parker dirty.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. They did Parker dirty.
Yeah. They did, which was also pretty funny.
It was hilarious because it was so dirty.
They did. They did. My heart goes out to the guy. That's
absolutely.
It was a rough way to get kicked off.
It was. So Ezra, his prize, he's Mr. Christmas, and he gets to be in this movie, Happy Holidays.
Yes.
So this movie, the plot is some sort of like news or like travel blogger lady. I think she's a travel blogger.
I think so.
Or some sort of like newspaper
she's
writer.
An influencer.
She's like a writer,
blogger,
something.
She's like social
Hallmark
media person.
Yeah, she has like one of those vague Hallmark jobs.
Yeah.
And so
it almost feels like a job like not of our world.
It does.
It's really
and her office is just like a glass like box in the middle of the office. I didn't really understand that either. It was very odd.
Yeah.
But she ends up with this dog. I forget how she gets the dog. She like saves it from a fence, and the dog like follows her home. And so she has to take care of this dog.
She thinks that she's able to bring him to the shelter and they'll just take him. But they end up being like too full, and they're like, you have to take care of this dog or find a home.
Ezra is the guy who runs the shelter, and he's like, nah, you had to keep this dog. You can't let this dog be alone on Christmas.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Why don't you want this dog? She ends up keeping the dog. She becomes a social media sensation because her dog and Ezra's dog are in love with each other, which is a weird concept.
Yeah.
And then
it's almost like they're structuring it as like a romance between the two leads. But then they also have a mini like B plot where it's a romance between the two dogs.
Yeah.
And it was weird. I mean, it was different. It puts it apart from a lot of other Hallmark movies, but it was a weird subplot.
And then they brought back Ezra's ex-girlfriend, but I think her coming back really shows where the weaknesses of this movie were.
Yeah.
Because I think Ezra is an okay actor. I think he needs to take a couple acting classes, and he would be perfect in a Hallmark movie. I think he was good in this
unfortunate
movie.
to see a lot of people jumped on him.
Yeah.
I think this movie has more problems than just Ezra.
I think so too.
I think Ezra was a little stiff, a little wooden in this. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you heard us describing this story. It's not a great script.
No, it's not. It's weird.
It's a weird. It's and the way that they talk is very, very odd. I think the main actress is solid.
But she didn't have good chemistry with him.
Yeah, she didn't have good chemistry with Ezra.
And that's the issue. Yeah. I think if they had switched who the lead actress was with the actress who played the ex-girlfriend, I think it would have worked a lot better. Or even the actress who plays his sister.
Yeah.
Because he's really good in scenes without the main actress.
Yeah, and honestly, if you have a romance movie, you don't want the main character to have better chemistry with his sister than he does with his love interest.
Yeah, it's like the Folgers commercial.
Yeah, it is like the Folgers commercial. My hope is that they give him that Hallmark or someone else, he gets a manager and he's given another chance, and that he doesn't let some of the reception bring him down. Because he seems like a perfectly likable guy. Yeah. He seemed cool. I was happy that he won the show.
Absolutely.
And I hope that he gets more opportunities because the movie not working is not the fault of Ezra.
Yeah, so I think Ezra just got done dirty by Hallmark.
You think he got done dirty? I don't think he got done dirty. I mean, what else could they have done?
Cast a different actress as his lead actress. Get him a little bit better script.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Hallmark. But we watched Southern Family Christmas, and that was a good Hallmark movie.
That was
That was a
Hallmark
good movie.
Shout out to my boy Bruce Campbell. That was a solid movie.
It was. It was.
And, you know, I don't even know, because here's the thing. Even had they switched actresses, if they had made the ex the lead actress, I'm not entirely sure that it would have worked. I think in theory it would have, because they have a lot more chemistry. I think the hang up was probably nerves. I think there was probably some nerves going into it with Ezra, because it's like, okay, this is the woman that I'm supposed to be in love with. This is this big Hallmark actress, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the pressure of that, no matter who it was, just the fact that she was a Hallmark lead in this role, and he's supposed to, you know, be her love interest and be enamored with her. I think that pressure would have taken hold no matter what. Yeah. I don't know if that's the case, but that's just me, because I know he got nervous a few times on Finding Mr. Christmas because of that pressure, and I think that probably manifested in this movie.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what goes on in that guy's mind. But
I don't know. I will say I was also disappointed we didn't get a Melissa Peterman cameo. We got a Jonathan Bennett cameo where he calls him Mr. Christmas and winks at the camera.
He does.
He overacts. He chews the scenery like too much. A little bit too much. I love Jonathan, but like it was very out of place in the movie.
You're welcome, Mr. Christmas.
It felt like we got it was whiplash. It felt like they snapped us back into the show.
It truly did feel that way. I feel like he wasn't really acting. I think he was just in his reality competition persona.
He was,
because he can act. We've seen Mean Girls. We've all seen Mean Girls. We know he can act, and he has a really subtle performance in Mean Girls. But this was so over the top, where it was it's his game show personality.
Yeah, it was he hadn't fully put that to bed yet.
Yeah, it was he just got off the set of doing Halloween Wars or something and had to immediately go over and film this for Hallmark.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
It does a little bit. It was weird. It was cool to see him, and it was neat to hear the reference to Mr. Christmas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Where is Melissa at?
Yeah. I have no idea.
She went through the entire series.
Yeah.
I think she was in every episode.
She was in every episode.
So she deserved a cameo in here.
She did.
It's probably a scheduling thing. I know they bang these movies out like Roger Corman films. So
yeah, they should have. You know what would have made it more interesting if they had the dogs to see inside their minds.
Oh.
And Melissa Peterman could have played one of the dogs.
That's funny.
That would have been funny.
I like that. I think
Hallmark, hire me.
Honestly, we got your next writer here. I agree. I think it needed something like that, because it's already weird. It's already so strange that we're spending so much time on the dog's romance.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that's for, because kids don't care about Hallmark movies.
No.
Adults certainly don't care about a dog subplot with romance. It's just, I don't know who it's made for. And so it's
it's made for fans of Finding Mr. Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're gonna go that weird with it, you might as well just go the extra mile and have them talk, and have Melissa Peterman play one of them. Because either way, the dog storyline doesn't work. But it might have worked a little bit more if there was that element of making them more sentient. I don't know.
I think there's an episode of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, to bring it back to Cole Sprouse from Lisa Frankenstein.
We're finding through lines in all of this.
I think there's an episode of that where London's dog falls in love with another dog.
Yeah.
And they give the dog a voice.
Yes.
Hiya, Toots.
Scump.
Gee, I've been sniffing all over for you.
And it's just it's the humans can't hear it. It's just the dogs that can hear it.
Yeah.
I think they need to do that.
Yeah.
To be able to salvage the movie. Or salvage the dog romance plotline.
Yeah. Yeah. If cutting it out completely is off the table, I think that's the next best thing.
Absolutely. But I recommend Happy Holidays.
Yeah.
It's a good first acting job, I think. I think it's a very strong acting job. It's a cheesy Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
There's some cheesy plot points, but overall it was good fun.
Absolutely. This doesn't sound like a strong endorsement as we're talking about it, but we did like it.
Yeah, we did.
these things that we're poking fun of kind of like were part of the enjoyment, I would say.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it was entertaining. It was fun. We were doing like Alyssa and I were doing a Christmas marathon where we would every night or every other night we would watch like a different Christmas movie leading up to the actual holiday. And this was one of them. And it felt right at home with all these other movies, and it was fun. It was cool to see after so many episodes of Mr. Christmas, seeing Ezra fulfill what the original promise of the show was. So it was cool.
It was.
There was like, did you feel a weird sense of pride?
Oh, I absolutely felt a weird sense of pride. I was like, that's our boy.
Yeah.
That's Ezra.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
It was cool. I really hope that there is a second season of Finding Mr. Christmas, and I hope Hallmark continues to do this.
I agree. They could even make it like in Bake Off, Great British Bake Off, how they have the old alumni come in for the finales. Like they could do that. Like, what's Gage up to?
I know, right?
I see what Gage is up to.
They should have had cameos for all the guys in the movie too.
That would be fun.
I think that would be fun if there was cameos.
Would be fun.
I again, Hallmark, hire me. I have some great ideas for Finding Mr. Christmas season 2.
If you're watching this,
Hallmark
exec or hiring manager.
I really liked our Hallmark excursion this year for Christmas.
Me too. It was fun.
I just have to say a shout out to Dan Stevens because he had a great year this year.
He's had a great year. You and I have been saying that he's kind of like a Scream King lately.
Yeah, absolutely. He had some really good roles. I guess we watched some old Dan Stevens roles too this year.
We did. I showed her The Guest in preparation for Abigail, I think.
Yes. He was also in King Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus King Kong 2.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really good in that. He was my favorite part. And I think he just is a really good actor. And I'm glad he's in a lot of stuff this year.
Yeah. Shout out to Dan Stevens for having a great year.
Also, shout out to the movie Summer Camp, which is the worst movie I have ever seen in my life.
It was rough.
There was almost no redeeming qualities to that movie.
It was rough. It was, I still think, as far as like movies I've seen in theaters, I think Mordecai with Johnny Depp still takes the cake for me. But Summer Camp brought me back to that feeling of like, whoa, this is like, it's like they say there's nothing worse than watching a bombing comedian. The second worst thing is watching a bombing comedy. There was like hours, like 2 hours, I think, of like no laughs. It was brutal.
Truly brutal.
Miss Moon, did a little switcheroo for you? Would you like it?
I revise what I said earlier. You can kidnap me anytime, man.
Release.
We did it.
I wasn't expecting that.
So that was 2024 in review. Man, what a good year for movies this was. And like I said in the beginning, I told you guys that there would be quite a bit of variety here. I mean, we went from action adventure to experimental movies to horror, all the way to Hallmark movies. So we had quite a wide variety here. It was a long arm of picks that we presented here for you today.
Absolutely.
Well, do you have any closing thoughts on what we talked about today, babe?
I think my closing thoughts are, it doesn't matter how well made the movie is. If you love movies, you're going to find something to enjoy about it.
Absolutely. Whether that be like Mr. Christmas or Happy Holidays, like the amount of joy and entertainment from like the laughter, the like charm and like the wholeheartedness of them, it just brought us a lot of entertainment and a lot of joy. And that cannot be underestimated. And also even something like Hundreds of Beavers, even though we didn't talk about it here today, a movie that on the surface doesn't look like much and is very limited as far as like production and budget goes, ended up being, one of my favorites for the year. So
absolutely.
Quality stuff can come from anywhere. And it just goes to show that any year is a good year for movies, so long as you're willing to dig for the good stuff. So I think we talked about a lot of good stuff today. I had a lot of fun doing this episode. I guess as far as an unofficial Nerd Theater update, expect Alyssa to be featured on a lot more episodes. Alyssa and I have a lot of fun doing these, and you provide a lot of fun and unique discussion that I think brings a lot of new life into these episodes, rather than just me sitting here and blabbing off about a certain movie. It's fun to have Alyssa here to kind of geek out with me. So expect more appearances from her in the coming future. And as always, guys, thank you for watching. And until next time, stay tuned, you guys.